Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome. Welcome. Now I don't see the YouTube comments. So am I not broadcasting on YouTube here? Let me just check here. Give me just a second here. Good. Give me a second to update the YouTube chat to make sure that it shows up. So just give me a second to do that. How are you doing, guys? There. Oh well, YouTube is okay. Okay, we're just nobody typing anything. Okay, I thought there was a problem. Okay, so let me then change the microphone and set this up. So how are you doing, guys? It's a Friday, adult beverage Friday. I had a little bit of an adult beverage, but not too much. And we're here live streaming on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, and Brax.me. So we're all on those stations. So welcome all, welcome. So let's see who's here. A lot of people, heard my music and they said we're gonna zuck and leave because we heard they heard some music and they didn't like it and they said okay we're gonna leave. So they left. So many on Periscope said I don't want to listen to this. So anyway, welcome. Hello, Storm Media. Hello, Twist Mint on YouTube. Let me just bring up YouTube on my device here. And then I see hello, Pablo. How are you doing, Pablo? So let me just Bring up both, and then we'll be all set to go. Okay, so we got YouTube running in here, and then we got Periscope running. I'm not monitoring the chat on. I'm not monitoring the chat on Twitch or Braxme. So sorry about that. If you're on those platforms and you want to chat, just come on over and watch live on YouTube or Periscope, preferably YouTube. So how's everyone going tonight? So weekend started, and I had a new video out that I released last night, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions. I mean, I had a lot of questions. I have a lot of things that I did not address in the video. I'm good, great gold, and here's our chance to talk about some of that. So if you have any, if you haven't seen the video, let me just explain what it is that I made, the video on YouTube. Who am I missing here? MM. Who's MM? My goodness, I'm gonna have to look at microscopic pictures here and see who anybody is. So MM, how are you? Like microscopic little pictures to see who anyone is. So how are you doing, MM, on YouTube? So let me just summarize my video for those of you who haven't seen it. I made a video about a solar panel and a battery pack. And, there's a lot of solar panels out there. There's a lot of battery packs out there. And most of them are kind of like toys. They're not, I wouldn't dare think that you would actually seriously, think about surviving with a 20 milliamp solar power with battery and think you're going to survive with that. I'm enjoying your YouTube channel. Who is that? Rudy. Hello, Rudy. How are you doing, Rudy? Rudy Ard. So, hello, Randy. Thank you, Randy. Thank you. Good morning, Randy. Good morning on your Saturday. Good morning, Randy. Although I'm not talking about security things right now. It was a good video. So anyway, the video was about getting power in an emergency. And so I bought, it's kind of difficult to do these videos because I actually have to. Good morning, Randy. You actually have to buy these devices. So I have to buy it. It's kind of expensive. It was near $500, and it was a solar charger, a solar panel at 100 watts. It's a flexible solar panel, 100 watts, and then it powered a battery pack, or they call it a 300 watt power station, which powered it to 280 amp hours. That's what the capacity of the device is. And so the reason I never really thought of buying solar before, we all have little solar things that we experiment with outdoors, little cheap devices for $20 or whatever to see how it works. And they were never really useful because what can you actually charge if your capacity is only 20 milliamps, 20,000 milliamps? I mean, there's not much. I mean, you basically charge a couple iPhones and an iPad, but it's not even enough to power a laptop. So in that case, then it's not like serious power. So in an emergency, what can you really do with this? So I actually held off. I held off getting some of this until I found something that I thought was reasonably powerful enough to actually be of use for the long run. So what I got, guys, was a 100 watt. Thank you, Twitty. Thank you so much. What I got was a 100 watt solar panel. Now, solar panels are expensive in that 100 watt category, and this is actually one of the first 100-watt solar panels that you can get that's portable. And that's what the products that I reviewed that are in the YouTube video are new. They've only been around for a short while. I'm gonna guess like a month. I mean, they're fairly new. I've been looking at them, and they just came out, and so the solar panel is 100 watts, and the battery is 300 watts, which doesn't actually mean anything other than the fact that you can run up to a 300 watt device. But the actual value that you need to worry about is that the battery is a 280 watt hour battery. 280 watt hours. So if you watch the video, and I actually tested it after the video, and I was actually pretty amazed at the results. The results were that the solar panel was actually much more powerful than I actually estimated. It was charging the battery in about 4 hours. So in 4 hours, the battery was completely charged. So in this case, I actually thought if you have two battery packs, there's actually a possibility that with one solar panel, you can actually charge two battery packs and get something close to 500 amp hours. Now it's pretty good. I mean, you know, that's half a kilowatt. My goodness, you know, with that, you could run a mini refrigerator from solar power. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. Solar power can running a mini refrigerator. I have one on my boat. I put a kinetic charge on my cat, and he brings me energy daily. What? 2 milliwatts or what? Not much. Not much. So you know, hey, Randy, you got a lot of sun in Saudi Arabia, but they have you got a lot of sun in Saudi Arabia, but you don't need power because they have a lot of oil, so they can survive for another generation with the oil. If the SHTF happens. Do we trust FEMA in the event of a catastrophe? I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that I learned from reading a book. I'm going to tell you a little story here. I don't know if you've heard of this book. The book is called 1 Second After. Make a note of that. It's a really good book. Actually, a lot of solar here. Okay. Makes sense. It got a lot of sun. So, and they have the money to buy the solar, yes. So, this book is called 1 Second After. It's an old book. It's about 11-year-old. It's an 11-year-old book. So it's not a new book. And it's about an EMP. But if you read it, and it needs to be updated, some of the stuff, the information on it, it's not up to date because it was based on information they had a decade ago. And if you read this book, you actually start to see societal breakdown when there's no grid power, and you see how that actually works in real life. And it's realistic in a sense of you imagine what might happen in a catastrophe when there's no power. And I've already told you in a prior video that having no power is not actually as far-fetched as you can imagine. A lot of you are thinking, and some of you made a comment on the YouTube video saying, well, we're not going to get an EMP, so we don't have to worry about this. Yeah, it is a good book. Go read it. But I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that I learned from the book that I think you should learn from and have this knowledge in the back of your head if an emergency does happen, and you won't be watching me on YouTube or on Periscope, and you might remember. I remember Rob saying this to us, and that's helpful knowledge. So just listen tight, people, because the kind of stuff I'm going to talk about, you might put in the back of your head, but if an emergency actually happens, you might actually find some of my comments here to be extremely useful and be worth your while to stay and listen, especially people on Periscope who are coming in and out here. So if you listen to what I'm going to talk about, you might actually learn a few things that may be of value. Maybe You might not find it to be of value today because we're not in an emergency, but sometime in the near future, if something happens and you remember what I say here, you might actually think back and say, "Oh yeah, I've heard that before," because it's not in the book. If you read the book 1 second after how they survived, and I said to myself, "Wow, if I were their leader, I would have done something completely different." So let me just tell you what the book is all about, just in general, and then we'll kind of dissect it, which kind of gets into my topic. I didn't want to put that title on the topic so that it would draw some people in. I didn't want to really say that this live stream, is about the book 1 second after. Hello, Chick Threads Alaska. Thank you for the super heart. So, but I'm going to tell you, this is really, really valuable stuff. So I'm going to tell you what happened in the book first. So the book is about an EMP attack. So there was some town. It's in a town called Black Mountain, North Carolina, and it's really about the story of this town in Black Mountain, North Carolina, and how they survived. And just to give you a little bit of a skim to the end here, at the end of the book, 20% of the people survived, and there was a kind of a war in the middle of it. 20% of the people survived. That's it, 20%. And what's interesting is when the first vestiges of rescue actually came from overseas, and the military came and started to rebuild about a year and a half later, when somebody actually came to start helping rebuild. They said in the book, that around the East Coast, that only 10% survived. So this little town actually had double the survival rate at 20%, because in most of the towns on the East Coast, only 10% survived. And more people survived, around 20% survived in the Midwest, because there's not that many people, and there were a lot of farm produce, cows, cattle, that they were able to use and survive. So that was which were not able to be delivered to anyone else, since there's no transportation in an EMP. So in an EMP scenario, let me just again, for those of you who haven't read or watched my video on an EMP, and this does not have to be an EMP. What I'm saying to you is a scenario that actually can fit any power loss. So in an EMP, the car stopped working, according to the book, which actually is false. The car stopped working. All electronics stopped working, so there was no way to communicate. There's no in the book, there was nobody with radios. There's nothing worked. Anything electronic didn't work in the book. And and they found some old cars from the 70s and old trucks, and those were the only ones that seemed to work, again, in the book. In the book, this place had water, but being in a kind of a rural area, there's not a lot of farmland, and they had a couple of farms that had a few hundred cows and pigs, and that was it. That was it for the whole population of the area, which was many, many thousands. So in the book, the moment the EMP happened, then all of the electronics stopped, and people didn't realize it, so they were scratching their heads, what's going on? Why is all our electronics not working? And no one actually, except for a few people in the military, they actually didn't realize there was an EMP. So when they realized that, then people started to think about hoarding food. Then there was a kind of a looting situation. They started looting the market, and then basically overnight, when they started to realize there was an emergency, overnight all of the markets had no more food. And within a few days, and basically that's it. Whatever food you had, that was it, and you were going to survive with that for the next few weeks. And then, it was like each for its own. and basically they started dying pretty much, immediately. First of all, everyone in the hospital started to die. Hello, I'm in it. Everyone in the hospital started to die because there's no electricity. So anyone on ICU and anyone needing any kind of electrical thing, like, for respiratory help and so on. It's not a movie. It's a book. And all of those people died. And because there was nobody to supervise and everybody left, the nurses in the nursing homes, all the nurses and everyone left. They went home, and so the ill were left by themselves, and it started to spread infection because there were like feces everywhere and urine and everything and disease because there was nobody cleaning anything. There was no water, and so it was a very very sad situation in anything that required medical care because there was no. Hello, grub squasher. How are you doing? So make sure you all follow me on YouTube, guys. The guys, if you haven't seen me in a while, grub squasher, then you should subscribe to my YouTube account right there, Rob Braxman Tech on YouTube. Anyway, the to kind of summarize the story without giving you giving you or to just summarize the story in a simple way without giving out details. Basically, they started to organize the town and started to protect the town, and so they kind of formed defenses, and they started to ration the food. So every day, the whole thing was there was like a soup line, and everyone lined up to get food, and until they got thinner and thinner, and then many of the people died from lack of food. And then by the time the year ended, a whole bunch of people died, and then there was a little bit of a war. So by combining with the war, then only 20% survived. Otherwise, half of them would have survived if it weren't for the little battle that went in there. So I was like looking at this book, and there was like some factual things that would have been different based on our knowledge of how EMPs work and how you would survive in this kind of situation. And the information I thought wasn't accurate anymore. Maybe it was the understanding at the time, but it's not the understanding today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on what would actually happen in this kind of an emergency. And then we'll talk VSAT, which generates kept us going and online while in Iraq. What is a VSAT? Randy? What is a VSAT? If you could tell me what that acronym means. Is that like a military acronym? I'm not familiar with that. VSAT. I was thinking that you were going to do college entrance exams in Iraq. So SAT. So, but, and I thought virtual SAT. So I'm so not ready. Twitty is so not ready. Satellite. Satellite communications. Hello, Lenny PR. So, let me just tell you this. In an EMP situation, if there's an EMP, and there's many threats, you can't think just about something like an EMP happening. There are many threats. There's solar coronal mass ejection, solar effects, which can shut down the system just from a solar effect. There's earthquakes here in California, hurricanes. There are many things that can happen, and all of this kind of have similar results for different time frames. If it's a hurricane or an earthquake, it's localized, so the rest of the country can eventually help you. So it might take a while, but within a couple of weeks, you expect rescue. But if the whole nation is disrupted, then you are truly zucked, and that's what we want to think about here, and see if we actually are ready for this. So one of the ideas is that if the grid goes down, the grid means the power system. So all of the power that comes from your electric utility What happens if that shuts down? What can cause that to shut down? And many people think it can only come from an EMP, but actually, this is the part that actually many don't realize, is that they don't actually have any backups for the grid. They don't have any backups for the grid. So in the U.S., if there's a coronal mass ejection, which is a solar kind of effect, and this has happened several times in history, but just by luck we were spared, or the grid wasn't that developed. Like one of the first times that it was known, because there was no electricity before then, that there was a solar effect on the grid was in the late 1800s. This was the time of the telegraph. Late 1800s, like 1890s. And what happened was they had telegraph poles, and the telegraph poles got powered up. Hello, quick logic. The grid got powered up from the solar power, and created a effect similar to an EMP, and sparks flying everywhere, and all of the telegraph lines, which weren't that many in the day, caused some serious damage to anyone near those. It was kind of like getting hit by lightning. Hello, Ariel. Tesla has to do also with these things of electricity? Really? Yes, Tesla and AC power. Anyway, one of the things that is quite interesting to imagine here is that all it takes is for a few of the transformers to blow up, and a whole city would actually shut down. So again, think about this. Terrorists might think, okay, I'll just blow. Silence, please! Sorry. Just extra loud. So, anyway. Sorry, extra loud. So, just if I don't warn it, it gets louder and louder. So, had to shout to get it across because nobody can hear me. So I had to reach over the entire space here. So anyway, if a terrorist decides to blow up a few transformers, here's the problem, guys. There's no backup to the transformers. A transformer is ordered from Germany, and a transformer takes about a year to make. So to make them and to deliver them, it would take a year. Therefore, you would be stuck in a situation where for a year or two, there would be no power to the cities where the transformers broke down. And if you start thinking about that, you start to say, well, what do you do? Let's just say that you're in California. An earthquake happened, and the transformers, got destroyed by an earthquake. Or a terrorist blew them up. Whatever the scenario is. What do you do then for power for the next year? What do you do? So, do you leave town? Do you say, I'm going to go move to Kentucky, or move to Missouri? What are you going to do? You are in California. What are you going to do when that happens? How are you going to survive? Or will you? Most people probably want to leave. They'll say, okay, I'll go leave and come back later. In the meantime, what about your possessions? Then looters come in and take everything you own. So it's kind of like some tough choices here that happen, and a lot of people aren't really thinking about this. In an EMP attack, guys, electronics, in theory, stop working. Yes, there's Mitch. Mitch likes this topic. Mitch likes survivalist topics. So in an EMP kind of example, your electronics supposedly will stop working. It's actually not true. It's actually not true. Not all of your electronics will stop working. How you doing, Mitch? This is the Mitch kind of topic. Yes. Your little devices might actually, if it's not plugged in at the time. So let's say it's in your pocket. If your phones are in your pocket, this will actually survive. Small devices like this will actually survive. If it's unplugged, it will likely survive. Here's another thing. Will your car actually fail? A lot of people think that your cars will stop running in an EMP, but your car is covered in metal, and a lot of the electronics are inside the metal housing. So, will your car actually survive an EMP? You have to start thinking about that. There's a probability that cars may survive. You won't have any gas though. There's no blast in an EMP, Mitch. An EMP is blown up 200 miles up in the atmosphere, and you're not going to get any gamma rays or anything. That doesn't cross the atmosphere. The sun creates more gamma rays every day compared to that kind of force. So we are already getting gamma rays on above the atmosphere today from the sun. We got tons of it. But the sun will stop that. The sun will stop it, and what happens in the sun is there's an actual layer. It's called the D layer that actually absorbs all the gamma rays, and then it starts to separate there's this charge separation. What did you miss, Kelp? Or at least the industrial age. There's charge separation out in the D layer of the atmosphere, and which blocks some RF signals. But that's it. We don't really, it's even during the daytime it happens, and we don't really pay attention to it. It happens every day. In an EMP situation, it's a little bit different because it's an isolated area. You're so excited for 5G. You're not worried at all. There won't be any 5G in that case. Horse and buggy. Well, there won't be any airplanes, Pilot Mike. I hope you're not in the air when there's an EMP because obviously the airplane will crash. In an EMP, an airplane is now drive-by-wire. They actually don't have any mechanical parts anymore that the pilot can control. They're controlled by electronics, and electronics will fail. Therefore, the planes are going to crash. So that's one of the first effects of an EMP. Planes crash. So you don't want to be up there when the planes crash. You don't want to have that happen. But some of your electronics will survive. Won't that EMP have to be super high for it to affect an airplane? EMP is high, Mitch. EMP is 200 miles up, and it's going to affect anything downwards. So an airplane is certainly not 200 miles high. An airplane is only flying at 30,000 feet. So way below where an EMP would explode at 200 miles. So yes, so the airplanes will crash. So the power from the EMP, in fact, they will be so close to the EMP that they will actually be hit first. What if you have an electric car? Well, I heard 400 miles up. No, it's 200. You can blow up a nuclear device 200 miles above Kansas, and you would shut down the entire country. Just one blast in Kansas up 200 miles in the air is enough to shut down the entire United States. Why don't our government use that more in wars than nukes or thermonuclear bombs? Well, maybe because they don't want it used against us. Did you see Google getting grilled by Ted Cruz? No. No, Donnie, I did not see. What? So anyway, forget about electric cars in a EMP situation, since electric cars run on a lot of chips. So they're gonna fail too. Is that Somewhere Over the Rainbow? Yes, it is. I enjoyed it. Mr. Matt, what did you enjoy? Why am I getting different comments? Okay, the comments are okay. I see. Just have a delayed. I think EMP is a safer way to stop a war. Well, if somebody blew an EMP over the U.S., then if you read that book 1 second after, you can see that as a country would be, thrown back to the, you know, pre-industrial age, and will basically be you'll go from superpower to basically most of you dying. The name of the book is 1 second after. 1 second after. But if you blow up over most of Africa, nothing would change, right? That's correct, Kelp. If they're already living, with very little tech, then obviously, well, they have power though. They won't have power. They won't have power. So one of the things that is really interesting about the situation, about what actually happens when you lose power. In the book, they just basically said, well, we're just going to go collect all the food. We're just going to collect all the food, kind of like a communism here. And then we're just going to dole it out. And that's how we're going to survive the next year, even through the winter. EMP's the way to go. So I thought to myself, if I were there, and I'm going to give you this little tip here if you ever get into this situation and you remember that Rob said this to you. But if I were to get into an EMP situation, the first thing I'm going to do is think about food for the long term. If I'm going to have people line up for soup kitchens, I'm going to say, Zuck, you don't line up for soup. You go out there and start zucking farming. Then you get the soup. I'm going to put you to work. Make food. Make food. No one should be, just sitting around and waiting to die. No, you fucking make food. I mean, you got resources, man. They already have homes, so they have the shelter. Make food. Well, I happen to live by the Pacific Ocean, and there's a way to make water. If you don't know how to make water, you take water from the beach, and you use the sun, using condensation from the sun, you can actually make water. And, in the ocean, obviously, there's an unlimited supply of salt water. In Saudi Arabia, they make water from the ocean. I've heard your body could survive a month without food. I heard Bill Gates was starting farming or something like Bud Water. Yeah, there's a lot of water there's a lot of water that could potentially be gotten if you're near the ocean. If you're inland, there's waterways here in California where there may be water, but that's a problem in a big city. It's really a serious problem. I have enough food, need to make more for my dog. Desalination. Yes. So water, though, needs to be filtered. Not if you condense it. If you put water in a bucket and you have a angled plastic, like a tarp, or just see-through plastic, something, it's clear see-through plastic, and you angle it like that. So there's your bucket, and you have your tarp in there, and you cover it up. The sun bakes the water, and then it condenses and it climbs up. And because it's at an angle, it trickles down. The water will trickle down. The condensation will trickle down, and then you can capture it in a cup at the end of it, and you can actually make water. Pacific is Fukushima contaminated. Not over here. No soup for you. Yes, no soup for you. But I would like thinking to myself, in the book, these people just sat around and waited to die, and it's like, suck you. You're not gonna go wait to die. So if this happens, I'm gonna form people into two groups. Who's gonna be the army and who's gonna be making the food? I'm in Southern California, Mitch. Would it be simpler to ask for manna from heaven? You can ask for manna from heaven, but God helps those who help themselves. I would, I would create a little bit of an army. I mean, it's half the people in California must have a gun. So half the people here must have a gun. So you can have enough people to create an army to protect your area, and say, okay, we'll create a boundary here and protect the zone. No ducking way. What? No ducking way. What? Soldiers and cooks. Yes. So I was like thinking to myself, do you actually have right there, big guns? Big guns. Half the people have guns in California. That's wishful. Half the people have guns in California, Kelp. You think, yes, yeah, half the people in California have guns. Big guns. I would say half the people have some sort of gun. Some people have more guns than others. But I'm going to say half. In California, when they start banning, when they started banning AR-15s. So in California, they banned AR-15s. Said no more AR-15s for you, Californians, because we run the show here in California, and there's not going to be any AR-15s. So as of January 2017, you will not be able to buy an AR-15 anymore. Well, guess what? Those who did not have AR-15s got one. So biggest sale day for AR-15s was just a couple of months before the deadline. So that also happened. Clinton banned ARs also in the 2000s and 2002 or whatever, and a lot of people got AR-15s there. So by my estimation, 50% of the people have some sort of gun. The problem is for all people going without medication. That would be ugly. Well, yes, if you don't have medication, then either use herbs or, yes, you can pretty much. In the book, they all died. In the book, anyone who was unhealthy pretty much died. People with diabetes died, kids. Yeah, anyone needing medication, asthma medication, things like that, they all died. Most Californians are already heavily medicated. Where are you, Mitch? Aren't you in the city? I know some people in California who own a few dozen or more guns each. So do I, Mad Cow. So do I. Bay Area. Oh, I didn't know you were in the Bay Area, Mitch. Yeah, there's a lot of guns in California. So if people come and say, oh, California, there's so anti-gun in there. There's no guns. Wrong. There's a lot of guns here. The name of the book is 1 Second After. And I'm going to correct some of the things that I think are inaccurate in the book. San Francisco is so anti-gun. Don't worry, they still have guns. They may be anti-gun, but they have it. What's her name? Senator Feinstein. She carries. Very anti-gun, but she carries. Mitch. Senator Feinstein carries. So don't tell me there's a lot of gun shows in here. Come on. There's a lot of gun shows in here. There's a lot of guns. Yes, there's a lot of guns in here. And they're not necessarily AR-15s, but there's, pistols and shotguns and, even a typical family would probably have some sort of shotgun. She knows. Who does? Book referred to in this broadcast is 1 Second After. I thought it was a 2008 novel. I thought it was 2008. It was really 2009? I thought I looked at it and it was 2008 when I looked at the publication date. Wiki? Well, he wrote it in 2008. Maybe it was released in 2009, but it was on the credits. It says 2008. It's always, yes, Mitch. Don't leave, Mitch. I'm going to tell you some secrets here. Tell you some secrets that you ought to think about. Because it's really crazy when you start losing power and you start just sitting there and say, well, we have no power. What are we going to do? First of all, I'm going to tell you, those that solar charger, if I'm going to give you a little tip here that's kind of useful, you should all get at least one solar panel. So I bought one, the solar panel that I have in a video. It's $199. It's 100 watts. 100 watts. You can power quite a few things with 100 watts of 18 volts. Yeah, too small. Get another one, Mitch. Yes, get a big one. In fact, get a couple of them. And I'll tell you, even if that's all you had, stop there. And in an emergency, all you have 100 watts. They're reasonably priced now. So I bought it it's around $199, okay? For 100 watts. And before for about $150, you would get like 60 watts. And so now for $200 you get 60 watts. Now it's you get 100 watts. It's portable, Mitch. It's a briefcase size. You see it on the video that I made. It's portable. You carry it around. It's about 10 pounds, 11 pounds. And you can store it. Put it in your Faraday cage or your gun safe or whatever. It's flat. Store it. Forget about it. Don't even think about it anymore. Just store the sucking panel. Now you're going to say, well, I don't have batteries. Now, listen to me, guys. I'm going to give you a tip here because you're going to say, well, I don't have any batteries, so what am I going to use this for? So you're going to have to use the power from the solar panel directly, but if the sun isn't up, then you don't have a way to store the power. How are you going to do that? Well, guess what, people? There's a ton of batteries out there. Millions of batteries. Millions of batteries. From your zucking cars. Millions of batteries. Any car is not going to run because there's no gas. They all have a zucking 12-volt battery that can be charged by solar panels. Think about that. It's not in the book. And I was like saying to myself, sucked up. They had all these cars on the freeway just sitting there. And he said they didn't think, let's see if we can utilize some of those things in the car. And one of the first things I can see that's so easy to take is the sucking battery. Sucking battery. Now, if you have boat batteries, that's even better because boat batteries are deep cycle. So batteries. So solar cell power station. Yes, Mad Cow, the solar cell is first because you can actually survive in an emergency just with a solar panel, even without the power station. You can build the power station later. You can, say, I'm going to buy, lithium batteries and store it, and then maybe I'll assemble it later on. You can just buy raw, lithium batteries a bit at a time if you don't have the money, and just store it, and you can assemble and make a full pack later on. You don't have to buy one of those big ones right now. But with the solar panel, you're immediately at ease because it can make a lot of power, and there's so many batteries out there, you can actually store it. For $200, that's actually a pretty good deal to have a panel. Yes, $200, you get a panel. You can charge laptops. You can charge 5 zucking laptops. 5 or 2 laptops and 4 phones and provide lighting for the family all night. That's why the new solar panels, Mitch, have reserves on them. Like the one I have is 18 volts. So you only need 14 volts to charge. So they actually have excess power in there so that if the sun goes down, then if it's a cloudy day, there's enough power to charge. I was able to charge my battery pack in 4 hours. 4 hours. I have a 280 watt hour battery. It charged to full in 4 hours of full sun. That means it can charge in half that time. in double that time if there's no sun. And that means I can also charge 2 batteries with that one solar panel. So 1 solar panel in an emergency is pretty awesome. You just have one, and it's big enough. Small things don't, and you can actually make a collection of these. You say, I'll buy 1 solar panel now. Maybe I'll buy another solar panel later. And you can fold these. So you just fold it and store it, and they're flat, and they don't take up a lot of room. And then you're actually covered for emergencies for the most part just with a solar panel. It's pretty cool. So now let's say you thought about that, and you say, okay, you're thinking long term now. So you have a little bit of power. You have solar power, because some of you bought solar panels, let's say. But how do the masses get electricity when there's no power supply? How do the masses get electricity without a power supply? And again, people just don't have any imagination here. And in the book, they did not have any imagination at all. I have biowood charger, can charge phones, etc. Biowood charger. That's very interesting. It's at heat. So what? It's charged by heat. How does it? Is it heat to? How does it go to electric? From biowood, is it heat based? So listen to this, Mitch. It says this is very helpful information that you may find useful in an emergency. And again, it's like if you're not creative enough, not thinking about this, you may not even realize this. So you get a bunch of cars that are not running anymore. Old cars, new cars, it doesn't matter. And you want to generate power. How do you generate power without solar? How do you generate power? Because people think, oh, you need, a hydroelectric plant or something. How do you generate power? Do you know that within eyesight of you, there are tons and tons of generators? Did you guys know that? There you go. Diego. Smart Diego, yes. Do you know how easy it is to open up the hood of the car and take out the alternator? It's, you look for the belt. You look for the belt, and what's attached to the belt of a car? The alternator. So if you take off the belt, then there's the alternator sitting in there. That's a sucking generator. So if you have a way to spin that, either through wind or some other way of spinning it, wind is one of them, or if you have some sort of running stream, you can put little paddles on it so if there's a water flow, you can use it and make like a paddle. You can actually create 12-volt power from the alternator, and there are hundreds of alternators going to be around you. Isn't that neat? And nobody thinks of this, that we actually have technology, we don't even know it. Hello, John. We actually, even if something with alternators, by the way, don't get burned by EMPs. There will be an abundance of alternators. Abundance. I can brush. Yeah, but how does it power? Hello, John. How do you power electronics from the heat? What does the heat do? Does it boil something? How does it create to electricity? Yes, and it's mechanical and standalone. An alternator just is by itself. It's basically a standalone generator. It's not connected to anything. Just unplug the wires, and it's a generator by itself. So if you have a way of providing some physical power to that, you can actually generate power. A lot of it. And you can then use it to charge your own batteries. Do you know something that you should be telling us? No kelp, I don't know anything. It's fun to think about this because nobody ever thinks about it. All I know is that the grid itself, our grid, is not really all that robust. So this kind of thing can actually happen. Let's figure a way to make a perpetual motion machine. Well, there's I got an ocean here, so ocean has water flow. So in theory, just tidal flow is enough to create some energy for uh, for small things to power you. So there's if you got to just think mechanically what you can do. Put some wood contraption, you know, pass the motion through pulleys, and then use it to spin some sort of turbine, which can then power the alternator, and you can have power. And then charge up batteries, and then those without solar panels can have a way. We need to a full bridge rectifier. What the zuck? You have a big power supply? Is that for real? What is for real? This? No, this is not real. No, this is not real. Dan know me. That's airsoft. The problem I think is I think is it sustainable? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Solar energy and solar energy and alternators, all of those are sustainable. So you can actually, survive for long term with that. And then somebody can take a big bunch of these and create power, if you're near running water. You can kind of build like a windmill thing. And if you don't have running water, you can make, a propeller, attach it to an alternator every time there's wind, and you can make power. I'm talking about perpetual motion machines. No, I don't know. So anyway, two little tips for you. One is the alternator is a heck of a way to make power. And I'm going to tell you right now that having if every household, just think about this, if every household had one solar panel stashed away, wow, that's a lot of energy already. One zucking solar panel stashed away. Do you know that if you have 3 solar panels, if you have 3 solar panels and the electricity went down, you would be living in luxury. Yes, Kelp, you have a gun. Thank you, sustaining your energy, Twitty. Thank you, Twitty. Can just imagine that if you had 3 solar panels is enough to power a refrigerator. You're installing solar. I'm talking about portable here, because the permanent solar panels you put on your roof in a earthquake or in an earthquake or in an EMP situation, those things are going to blow up too. So I'd rather have them portable. So portable solar panels, if you have 3 of them, you can have refrigeration, lighting, and even computers to use, and nobody else has them. And then have your gun so you can protect them. Now all you have to worry about is food. I mean, it's amazing how much power you can get from even one solar panel. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you. One solar panel. Would an EMP blow up your portable one? No. EMPs don't work like that. That's one of the problems with some of the descriptions about an EMP. In order for an EMP to affect you, you have to have it plugged in. Cable. Any long runs of cable will create an electric induction. But anything that's unplugged, so let's say this is okay, this is unplugged. There's not enough in here to cause an electric charge because there's not enough wires. Okay? So this will survive, although there won't be any cell towers. An unplugged phone will survive, and it will have more chance of survival if it's in a metal kind of container. So, for example, I'll give you an example. If you keep some old devices in your glove compartment, the car itself will provide some sort of protection. I have lots of seeds. That is another thing you need. Seeds. Especially for common crops. Seeds. So if I were you, how expensive are seeds? Some vehicles will work after EMP, but there won't be any gas. The solar panel is briefcase size and extend. You can look at the video, Maui. It extends to about 6 feet, maybe 6 feet long, and about maybe 2 feet wide. Yeah, who's gonna make the diesel? Prepping for Armageddon? Not prepping for anything. We're just showing you what you can do. Be creative and have fun with this. It's just fun thinking about it. I'm in California. California could separate from the continent any day now. We haven't had a big earthquake in over 20 years. So in theory, 25 years is the last big earthquake. In theory, we should have one now. So if we have an earthquake, then what? Seeds are essential. Gardeners save seeds naturally. Biodiesel vehicles will work off just vegetable oil. Where are you going to get the vegetable oil? When you're short of food, I don't think you're going to make vegetable oil. I think you're going to make food. Just get a bike or a boat. Yeah, once you set up a panel, won't looters be after them immediately? No, you put them away, Maui. Hopefully you put them away because you need them only in the daytime. So they're portable. It's a briefcase. You open it up, you charge the power in your backyard, and then when you're done, you fold it away. Are you saying somebody will steal your panels? Then that's what guns are for. Can we use a bike to make power? Yes, Donnie, you can use a bike and attach it to an alternator. Yes, you can make power from that. Can we just use a bike? What is it? Not such a long shot about the big one here in California. Yeah, that's why, let me tell you from my point of view. I mean, realistically, there's always a big chance of an earthquake happening in California. You need heirloom seeds so you can make more seeds. Yes, you can get 15,000 packs of survival seeds, 32 essential non-GMO fruits and vegetables, $15.95. Wow, Mad Cow, that's awesome. Could you just loot all these items if you have guns? Yeah, if the ones who's looting, I'll shoot them. Not all seeds will make a plant that seeds. Okay? So yeah, you loot, then, then we shoot you. $15.95. You see, this kind of stuff is not, if you think about some of the little things I'm talking about, it's not really that expensive. So let's say you don't want to spend money on a battery, because the battery is expensive. So lithium-ion batteries are expensive. But there's going to be a battery available because there's going to be cars with car batteries, 12-volt batteries. So all you need really is the solar charger. It's easy to harvest your own seeds. See, Chick is a real survivalist in Alaska. So we're only theorizing here. I'm in the city here. Amazon. How many panels to charge an electric car? A lot, Maui. Now, maybe not worth it. A lot of power you need a lot of, you may have to allocate 5-6 panels just for a car. Like in Katrina, yes, we are wedded to the idea we'll always be there. In effect, we trust the government will think for us. Why do you want to think like that? I don't trust anyone. I got to trust myself a little bit. I'm just going to form a post-apocalyptic gun-toting biker gang, Mad Max style. Need a horse. No, you got to feed a horse. You may want to just eat the horse. Somebody will eat the horse. So forget about the horse. You need a bicycle. Maybe you get one of those, bird, scooters. Charge them with solar, and then you can use that for transportation. Horses eat grass. Ew. Did you know that horses were brought to America for food? And then people said, oh, we're going to use it for transport. My dog is the last meal just in case. Well, I don't have a dog right now. In the solar panel video, Rob's link on YouTube. Oh yeah, Mad Cow. I'll add the link to the. I'll add the link to the seeds on my video. Thank you for thinking about that. I'll add that to the video. This is, to me, guys, it's fun to think about this. I mean, we talked about water and food, you know, weapons, things like that. But you start thinking about even basics here of survival for the long run, and nobody's actually thinking about it. Thinking about seeds, thinking about if you had a couple of chickens, do you eat them or do you grow them? Do you actually want to eat your chickens instead of raising them and then making more chickens? You keep losing me. Why? Why do you keep losing me, grub squasher? No disruption here that I can see. Everything is pretty stable. Need a bicycle that you carry on back so looters don't steal it. You mean even with a lock? Yes, they could steal it, but again, it's all a matter of having the right kind of protection. You probably don't want to leave it, right? Maybe you detach the in some cities, the people detach a wheel and then walk away with one of the wheels, and then no one will want to steal it because it's not a working bicycle. So take a wheel out. Then it's better than a lock, right? Because somebody will break the lock. So sound like the most important thing is a gun because you can loot everything else. That you get shot too. So, but think about just some of the basic things that I'm talking about. And the fact that you don't really need much. In my video, I was talking about it was kind of a $500 expense to have a power supply, a battery, plus the solar panel. But the solar panel is probably more important. So, can you imagine having no battery, but you have 2 solar panels? You can charge all your devices. They all have batteries anyway. And use DC power. Power up lights. Your phone can be a light. I mean, this is obviously a light. So if you can power your phone, you have lighting. And you can do that from a solar panel. So even without batteries, you can actually survive. Even with one solar panel, you would survive pretty well. You can charge 30 phones with one solar panel. 30 phones. 36 phones, actually, I computed. With a 100-watt solar panel, you can charge 30 zucking phones. EMP, doesn't have to be an EMP, Jake. Just any kind of emergency. Post-apocalypse, I'm just going to chill by the shore and go zucking fishing. Yep. Not going to work. There will be 10 million people doing the same thing, trying to catch fish to eat. There won't be any fish. So in my case, I'll have to take the boat out and then troll for big fish somewhere. And then somebody will steal it on the way home. It's going to be rough out there. What use is a phone if the towers aren't being powered? You can use it on my network. So Kelp is like thinking, oh, without any towers, you actually don't have any use for these phones. Wrong, Kelp. Absolutely wrong. Because you didn't watch my video. I got it running today. I have a network in my house, and my network is connected to hundreds of nodes in Southern California. When is this apocalypse happening? It's not happening. We're just talking about thinking about, are you ready for anything to happen? How many of those 10 million know how to catch fish? They will try and scare the fish away. Won't phones stop working anyway, charge or not? No, Maui, I actually have a way of using a phone on my network here and use it for voice over IP. You can actually talk on the phone and talk to emergency people hundreds of them all over town, even with the internet being down. So I have use for phones, and obviously, I have use for computers. I can do programming on it. I can program little calculators and any number of things that could be useful. I'm gonna start a pigeon farm on my roof. Ever had squab? Uh, um, Cornish hen, never squab. I have an app that can catch fish, so I'll be fine. That's correct, E.T. Buck. You're actually wrong. 5 loaves and 2 fish fed 5,000 men. Got to read that again, E.T. Buck. 5 loaves and two loaves of bread fed 5,000 men. So, if there are 5,000 men, how many children and women were there? So, it could have been 15,000. Yeah, so remember, they only counted the men. So, that sounds like a riddle. Yeah, so they actually said in there 5,000 all that wine to boot. They in the Bible it says they fed 5,000 men. Well, there were more than men there. I'm gonna forge mushrooms. Most people don't know which ones aren't poisonous. They were at home. So they said, "Women, you stay home. We're gonna go to the mountain and follow Jesus, but the rest of you stay home." Yep. So I just got an alert that Apple's tracking iPhone owners more than Google and Facebook. Tony, Apple tracks iPhone owners more than Google and Facebook. Well, obviously, they own the iPhone. Google tracks Android. Your question there is kind of weird. Yes, Android tracks. Google tracks Androids because those are Android devices. Apple tracks iPhones because they're iPhone devices. I don't get the point. I don't get the point. Facebook tracks both because they can be Android or Apple. So Facebook will be the number one tracker since they can track both. Apple only tracks Apple devices. Google tracks both also. Yes, that's true. Google tracks both also. So Google and Facebook will track more than Apple. Sound kind of low tonight. What is low tonight, Maui? Not sure I understand what that means. I don't understand what that means. But anyway, back to what I'm saying. So it's amazing that, just a single solar panel. Audio low? I don't think so. Looks here. I raised it up a tad here. No, it's normal. Looks normal to me. In fact, I raised it up a little bit. It might be too loud now. So single solar panel and the high end is high. Well, it's max. If I talk any louder, it's going to get into the red zone. So I got to stay with a little bit. So I put up a teeny weeny. What about Zuckerberg? How will Facebook handle the catastrophe? He won't. There will be no Libra. There will be no Bitcoin. If the electricity is down, then there's no power. Bitcoin. So you can't put all your money in Bitcoin because if there's no power, there's no Bitcoin either. I keep losing you. It says not my fault. Internal error. Grubs must be that your internet is not that steady tonight. That's what I think you're dealing with there. Your internet is not at the best at the moment. Otherwise, I have I'm monitoring 3 devices here, and none of them are having a problem. Everything is very steady tonight, which is kind of rare. Usually, I have a failure every night. So when you start thinking about some of this, I'm just trying to give you food for thought here. That if I were in an emergency, I'd start thinking about the long term pretty much on day one. So if I know that if I know I'm going to have a problem like that will last, months, I'll tear up the grass in my backyard and plant something. It only makes sense. Plant something. By the way, when the power goes down, you're not going to have water pressure in the city. Friday seems to be high internet traffic day. So yeah, it's kind of a problem that you got to think about because water pressure. So you may not have a way. You may have to wait for the season to actually, natural rain to come in to allow you to plant. You may not be able to plant. Plant now, not on day one. Well, can't water seeds. Yep. Who's testing those scenarios? Fortunately, many agencies, Kelp. Look at Kelp. Kelp is so trusting of the government. Kelp was so trusting of the government that the government will take care of us. Kelp, you worry about that. I don't want the government spying on me. I don't need the government to take care of me if I can take care of myself. Why are you so, believing that there will never be a failure? Even in Katrina and some of these hurricanes, even in the one in Puerto Rico, people went for weeks without getting help. Weeks without getting help. If you're not thinking about sustaining yourself and expecting to just get help, and you don't make an effort to protect yourself and to survive while you're waiting for help, then I'm sorry. Learn what grows in area and work with it. There you go. 32 variety pack. I'm gonna put that link. In my video for the survival seed pack, because that's. Do you have any way of do you have shovels and all that? There's this video on. There's this video on YouTube. There's this channel on YouTube where this guy uses a stick out in the jungle, and he builds a house with a swimming pool, a little house, a little swimming pool with a stick, and gets it done for the next video. And it's like, that guy's gonna survive. All he has is a stick. He stays out in the jungle, and he makes clay pots and everything, and uses natural elements, no electricity, no nothing, and just does ceramics. And then I don't know, I've never seen him do the food, and they got millions of zucking views on YouTube. They're making money from that, and they have so many of these. Some of them are new, like they were only like started in January. And I said to myself, how many of these houses can you build by hand? One person digging with a stick. And come on, people. You have to know those are fake. Those have to be fake. That means that they show you the guy using a stick, and when you're not looking, the backhoe, there's a backhoe next to it. They bring in the backhoe, do most of the work, get it done, and then the guy comes and does the finishing touches. How about chemical companies not monitored? It would be toxic soup all over. No logic. What are you referring to, Jake? Bulldozers in between. Yes, Mad Cow. Gotta be. There's like and there's like everything is like level and flat. Like, really, you have time to do all that? Okay, got it. You actually expect me to believe that, right? Yeah. And you got it done in 2-week video. Okay. Making the video of stick guy. Yeah. Building swimming pools, carrying buckets of water one at a time from the stream. Right. Right. With a video, how do you power the video? They have to have power because you gotta have batteries for the power supply. Crickets are actually really good for feed conversion to calories. Yummy. They didn't show the bugs, but but those videos are great. I mean, I love them. You know what else I love about some of these off grid stuff? I love watching these little houses. Hello, twin mom. I love watching these little homes and how they powered solar and they got their, got their little home and they're just completely independent in theory, and it's just fun. I would never give up my house. I would never give up my conditions for that. I mean, I hope nothing ever happens where I have to give up my air conditioner, but it's kind of fun to watch because it's like survival. It's like that TV show Survival. Many people would have growth moments, but the chaos of society unleashed would be hell. Exactly, Kelp, and you're relying on the government to take care of you. Kelp said, "Yeah, it would be hell," and so your reaction to hell is close the doors, and and you will be saved. Well, it doesn't work like that, because you will you will run out of water and food, and you will say, "Well, I got to go out there and forage or loot or do something," and the looters will be the ones to have food, and you're not going to have any. So, the city was. Let me try to read that. Official MP radio. How are you doing, buddy? Just think, the agencies wouldn't have people to watch, so we would have to do something. Yes, but they themselves have to go home to their families. Kelp. So Kelp. So you have the FEMA people. So you say, will we survive FEMA? Will FEMA be around? Well, those people in FEMA have families too. So they're going to go home to their families and take care of their families. Who's going to be left? I'm ATY. What does that mean? I'm ATY. What does that zuck? What the zuck does that mean, man? Maybe I missed it, but would a gasoline LP hybrid generator be used after an EMP? There will not be any gasoline, grub squasher. Where are you going to get the gasoline? Gasoline needs an electric pump. So you're going to have to steal gasoline from cars, which can power you for a short while. So yes, you can live for a short while, but it's not sustaining. So yeah, so you can, because there's a lot of gasoline in cars. So, but it's not going to be long term moonshine. You're going to have to plant to get moonshine. I mean, moonshine doesn't make itself. Moonshine doesn't make itself. I mean, you have to have some ingredients for the moonshine. It's Yabba Dabba 2 time. Feet pop. There, you can go cranking power. You ask people, well, what is your specialty we can use in an emergency? And the guy said, I don't know how to do anything. Well, you sit here and crank the alternator. Create some power. Exercise. Some don't have families. Government and the job is all they got. Well, how are those some going to support the majority? How are the some? Yes, bicycles, twin mom. So have your bicycles, yes. They had electricity at the Thunderdome. Yes, and in the Thunderdome, they had gasoline too, so they must have gotten it from somewhere. Are we getting pet dinosaurs too? I don't know. So, if again, this is fun to think about. It's just like watching those videos on survival. You don't have to think that I'm actually suggesting that there's going to be some major event happening in the future. That's not the point. Sometimes the process of preparation is actually part of the fun. Knowing you're ready, knowing you're prepared, knowing little things can help you. Like today, I told you a couple of simple things that you can actually utilize. A single thing like a single solar panel, A single 100-watt solar panel. And then somebody said seeds. Will there be a tribal council? Yes. Kick them off the island. Kick them off the island, yes. It's just fun to, to imagine, and kind of like, again, if you're watching survival off-grid kind of videos on YouTube, and, I don't necessarily want to live like that. But yes, it gives a sense of control. That's a good point, Maui. And it's not expensive. If you plan it right and have given some thought to it, it's not expensive. In my area, we do lose power quite frequently. I can remember many years where we've lost power. Once every 2 years or so, we've lost power here for an entire day. So that's not something new. The solar panel, Twin Mom, that I have in the video, look at the video. It's $199. It's 100 watts. 100-watt solar panel is quite powerful. It creates 18 volts at 100 watts. That's just to give you an idea what you can power with that. If you store it in a battery, you can charge 5 computers. Well, let me mix it up in the video. You can charge 2 computers, 4 phones, and have lighting for the family at night, all night. On one solar panel. So you're entertained during the day. You have lighting at night. You can have all the computers to use and play around, and you can actually entertain yourself. You can't go watch Netflix, but at least, play some games. Load up the games on the computer. And if you have another solar panel and a battery, you could run a mini refrigerator. So you can actually have a cold drink. So can you imagine, survivalist world without refrigeration? Games, you mean refrigeration and security systems. Yeah, so refrigeration is something that I think is a luxury that we will miss in an emergency. I really do think so. And they do sell those mini refrigerators. They're not cheap. They're like $1,000. And those can be powered by solar power, 1 or 2 of those panels, and you're all set. 24/7 refrigeration. I have a refrigerator on my boat. When I go to the store and try to pick out at least one more bottle of water or a box of batteries, yeah. So when I'm on my boat has a refrigerator on it, which is being powered by the 12-volt batteries. So I know the refrigeration on my boat is actually running off less power than the one in the video. Refrigeration is called winter. Well, try that in California, Jake. Try that in California. So over here, we need refrigeration 12 months in a year. So, yeah, I'm in Florida. Where's your winter? So what are you gonna do? So you want to taste some ice? You're gonna have to go trek up north. You say, "Oh, okay, I need ice, so I'm gonna go, go travel to North Carolina." Tiny fridge, only about 150. Weight problem in the nation would be solved. Dig some holes. You could, back in the 1800s, they actually stored winter ice in warehouses, and that would be enough to last, through the summer. What's weird is that a $1 outdoor light at Walmart will supply small light. You don't even need that, chick. Light. If you have a solar panel and you have even old phones, you got old phones? Certainly, chick, you have some old phones. Don't throw them away. If you have some old phones, I got a ton of these, iPhone 4, iPhone 3G. I mean, they're not useful anymore. iPhone 1. They may not be useful anymore, but boy, they can be your light. They're light bulbs. LED lighting. The innovation and shop tinkers suddenly become lords. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a creative guy. I probably, I told you about alternators and things, and because of in my boat, I'm always thinking about. Um, well, it's kind of hard to get natural drugs. You're gonna have to travel, so you're gonna have to trade for that, the natural drugs. It's better to get educated on what natural drugs you can use. What like, what to look for in the wild. Be able to look at plants and stuff. That's probably an expertise that some people have. I don't have that knowledge, and I'm a city boy. But somebody who lives in a in the rural areas may know what to look for as far as plants go, and see what can actually be like alternate medicine. So get those zucking seeds. Yes, I'm gonna get those seeds ASAP. I'm gonna get those seeds ASAP. Do you guys have food stocked up? A couple of weeks supply. These are just basic things. Gosh, guys. I mean, uh, you don't need to plan this out. You go to the market. You get an extra can of canned good to store. You buy whatever you're gonna make your spaghetti, and you get your tomato sauce. Well, get some other thing on the side for storage, and always think to put something aside and spend a few bucks, $2-3 setting something aside. You will hit the road, Jake. I'm not good. I don't have to hit the road. I have a bug out. Look at my video for my bug out. People should network to all kinds of experts out there. Yes, Grub. So that's what I'm saying. That you got to be creative, and just even looking at my household, I'm saying to myself, do I have enough here? I've had enough situations where there's no power, and I've actually wondered if I should wire my house to have an alternate way to wire it if I actually lose the grid. It actually got me thinking. I'm thinking about how to do that. Do I have to go to the power breaker and then undo some of the wires and plug it to a generator or something? So I'm actually thinking about that. So there's a socket available somewhere. Would you sell your piano at a discount? At least I can play piano. This does not need power. I could have my social, the element of artistic creation can be done even without power right here. Hello, Ross, buddy. How are you doing, my friend? Right? This does not require power. It's all wood. One guy can grow food. One guy has guns. Somebody has charge station. Good way in the city. Yeah, except, the first thing I would do in the city is create order. Thanks, chick. Nobody seems to like it but you. It's not like I got a lot of people here watching this. 45 boxes of toilet paper for a piano. You don't need toilet paper. Just go to the Zucking Ocean. You don't even need bath water. You can, in my case, I can just walk to the ocean, wash myself, and get back on land. I had these conversations with my brother for years, but this scenario has never happened. Why do you expect it to happen, Kelp? Now, I've been in bad earthquakes, so, I was in an 8.0 earthquake when I was young. So I know what that's like. I've had 7.0 earthquakes here in California, but 8.0 is geometrically stronger than that. So, I'm and I've been in hurricanes and all that, and typhoons, and so and lots of flooding. It's kind of a daily affair, and I'm so used to that it's we went through a 5.6 earthquake here in 2011. That's nothing. Good to live near the ocean then. Maui, it's actually good to live in the country because you have trees and you have potential supply of food. But in a big city, having the ocean doesn't really help. The big city, we don't have anything because we're relying on the infrastructure to supply us with everything. Everyone's so specialized now. So when you go have a crisis, how are you going to deal with that specialization? There isn't much fish here in Santa Monica Bay. Been through a lot of earthquakes in Anchorage. Yes, I could imagine. I've only seen a couple of tornadoes and minor flooding. Them twisters are scary. Seen a 4.8 in Tokyo. Did notice dancing. 4.8 is nothing. 5.0, that's nothing. When you get to 6 and starts to feel something, get to 7, you actually feel it. We had the 7 in LA about 25 years ago, and the freeways collapsed. So at 7, the freeways. So we had the major freeway over here, the 10 freeway collapsed. 5 of under you sleep through that. 5 of under you. I remember. So when people say that that being prepared in some of these emergencies that I imagine are never going to happen, not true. I've been through a few of them. So I was okay, but would have been nice to be ready. We survived and there's no problem, but it would have been nice to be ready. Rural towns are great, plant a huge garden. Yeah, but you have to defend the ground. In the city, it's hard. There are millions of people here competing. So now morning where I live, Twitty, you're in Long Beach, right? I'm pretty high up, Twitty. I'm not at ground level. I'm not at sea level. Yeah, I'm not at sea level, so I'm not going to be hit by a tsunami. I just live just outside the big woods in northern Minnesota. So if you live in the book 1 second after, the people in the Midwest actually survived because there weren't that many people and there were a lot of farms nearby. Being prepared can be an investment. Imagine the price you assess having solar power. Exactly, Kelp. So, but I'm not going to go say I'm going to rely on the government. Do you sleep with PJ on now after a big earthquake? No, Jake P. Blues. No. To me, earthquake, no earthquake. I'm so used to earthquakes. It's not. I don't even get up when there's an earthquake. I feel and see if it's serious enough. If I feel it's going to be just, 5.0, I say, okay, we'll just ride it. Houses here built to sway in an earthquake. We are prepped. I have lots of matches and flint stick to generate fire. Cigarette lighters are good for trading. You make your own fire. Government has to keep an eye on the power plants, the chemical factors, and yet criminals. Kelp, the problem is, how do you keep an eye? You do a drive-by. In order to keep an eye, you have to, the transformers have to be far enough away that no one can actually hit it with a RPG. Grubs, it's been 25 years since the last big earthquake. So, yeah, it's always possible here. This is California. So, it is time. 25 years. So, certainly it's going to happen within the next 25 years. Likely a lot less. So, I mean, if you're in California and you say, well, we're not going to go be prepared for this, that's just don't come to me for help. I actually have network resources. I can actually run internet even when if an earthquake happens and there's no power. I can power my systems here and actually connect to emergency units all over the city. The worst earthquake in history was in the Midwest. Where was that, Wifukan? But I've already experienced an 8. Not in the U.S. But I've experienced an 8 and it was terrible. Terrible. I remember my brother was scared for the rest of his life of an earthquake because he was a kind of a baby, and an 8 happened. Missouri, you have your ham radio. Yes, I have ham radio. I also have a network here. Change the course of the Mississippi River. Interesting. I was in Monterey for 89. Really? Chief Tour. How you doing, Chief? I only have to worry about forest fires, tornadoes, flooding, and blizzard. Oh, you don't have to worry about much. That 5.6 on the East Coast was horrible. Felt it very much. Do you have video outlining what kind of gun to buy? I don't know, Maui. I don't know if I should make a video about guns, because, yeah, my brother was a baby at the time that it happened, and he was the youngest then. I have a other younger brother now, but at the time, he was the youngest, and I was pretty young too. Trying to think how old I was. 11, I think. Flowed north that Mississippi River. I think it was like 11, and then when it was like 8.0, it's pretty massive. So that's a lot of people died. Buildings collapsed. They probably built buildings a little bit different now, but many people died. Hundreds, if I recall. Hundreds of people died. One building alone just collapsed and flattened everyone in it. And it was like a multi-story building and just collapsed, kind of like the World Trade Center. It just flattened out. Yeah. In 65 or so, that was Alaska that had a real bad one. Okay. Interesting. So, yeah. So, and let's see. Even if you were in a like a medium-sized building, let's say 10 stories, I mean, it was the buildings were moving. I mean, it was pretty bad. So that would be the equivalent of like being in a 100-story building nowadays, but for a medium-sized earthquake. But this was, if you're in a big earthquake like that, it's really moved quite a bit, even if in a short building. No, I did not lose a brother. He got kind of a PTSD from that. You think Walmarts will close, or do you think Walmarts will be looted? Perry Yassin, hello, my friend. Yeah, Walmarts will be looted. That will be the end of Walmarts. Yeah, he was very, very traumatized, yes. So, yeah, so he, every time there's an earthquake, he just overreacts to it. I don't. Earthquakes happen, and because I've been on an 8, I don't really panic in an earthquake. I know to stand by a doorway, things with a frame. So I haven't had a chance yet to have an incident where I had to stand by a doorway. But that's one of the best supports, places with doorways on it, so that a bit of that happened in Mexico last year. My great-grandma's home in the LA area cracked down middle from a big earthquake in the 90s. That's the one, Mad Cow. He is not in California, no. Sometimes he's in California, but not at the moment. Mad Cow, that's the earthquake I'm talking about. It was in the 90s. 100-floor apartment, not a good place to get stuck. Yes, Maui. Yes. Yeah. So when you think about what I know, and experience, it only makes sense. And I have to tell you, until I actually sat down and thought about it, I was so unprepared. Roof fell under him, under the desk. A desk isn't much support. I would stay on a door frame. I don't panic to get under a substantial table. I prefer a door frame to a table, chick. I think I get more support from a door frame because there's a lot of, Northridge earthquake, correct. Yes, so the Northridge earthquake collapsed the freeway. So it collapsed the 10 freeway. No earthquakes in Cal? Of course we have earthquakes every day. Remember the nuke drills at school? You that old? Wifukan, I wasn't here. So no, I did not. I did not I did not experience nuke drills. That's in the 50s. So, no, I did not experience nuke drills. You're not old enough to be doing nuke drills. How old were you? They were doing it in the 60s. It was a duck and cover. Well, they do earthquake drills. Nuke drills are kind of useless. What are you going to do when the nuke comes? But it's so funny. All you need is one small nuke and you can cause an EMP. That's it. One small nuke. I did then, yeah. One small nuke and you can EMP all of the US. That's why you can't really take this too lightly. One nuke. Single one. Fly a little drone. Fly a drone up in the sky. Blow it up 200 miles up. And that's it. They did civil defense drills even into the 80s. Really? Yeah. But not nukes. Not nukes don't help. My great grandma's house in the LA area. Yeah, right. In the 60s, we did them drills. I had air raid drills in Detroit as a child. Air raids. What year are we talking about here, chick? Maybe you go further, way back. I mean, some of you are some of you in your 80s here? Goodness. Air raid drills? That means you were a kid. That means you'd be 90 now. You'll be in your 90s. The earthquake thing makes me think I should move to the large old school TV I like to sleep near. Cuban Missile Crisis. Lead box. You want to get side story. So I used to have pet birds, lovebirds, and they were in a cage. And I was trying to keep the door to the cage closed, and I used a lead weight. You know those little balls they use for fishing lead balls. Well, the birds ate the lead, and then the next day, no more birds. Yep. So there you go. So don't be putting yourself inside a lead box. I don't think that's good. Tornado Alley folks think this too, but the power problems don't last very long. Yeah, but Puerto Rico had power problems that lasted weeks, depending on the part. Where's Lenny PR? Lenny PR is in Puerto Rico. He can tell us. But some parts of Puerto Rico did not have power for weeks. So I don't know. You don't want to be prepared for that? No TV over your head, though, mad cow. Who needs TV? You got Zucking computers, and I have my own private internet here. I have ham radio. Ham radio is one of the best things you can use for an emergency. You don't feel alone. In the book, 1 second after, this is the inaccuracy. Good day. Hey, Simon. Nice video on the solar. Pity the panel isn't waterproof. There are waterproof versions, Simon, but they're not portable. You can actually buy a Chinese panel for even cheaper, $100, and a fixed panel, and they're made of glass, and that you can leave outdoors. And if you have sufficiently enough solar panels, you can even power them even in the UK. Just double the panels for the UK because it's a cloudy day all the time. Double the panels and you actually be okay. So Simon, yes. So the one I have is not portable, but they do make. I mean, not waterproof, but they do make ones that are made of glass. Every time you say mad cow, I think you're referring to a duck hunt only works with the old cathode tubes TVs. So watch this at the beginning, Simon, because some of the there's some important tips in here. But what was that in the book that's in the 60s and 70s? Detroit public schools had air raid drills in the 60s and 70s. there you go, Wee Fu Ken. And that's what I'm saying here. Don't expect government to help you and then you die because they didn't come in time. Be prepared to take care of yourself. And if the government helps you sooner than that, then it's fine. But if the problem is so massive, just like it happened in Puerto Rico, there are not enough people to go around to go fix something like a grid. I mean, a grid is pretty difficult to fix. A grid. If a grid breaks down, what the fuck do you do? And you're not ready, and you're saying, well, we don't really need to care about this guy. This guy Rob, he's kind of a doomsday prepper guy. I'm not a doomsday prepper guy. I just think it's kind of fun to. It's part of my emergency thinking because I have ham radio. I have a boat that is off grid, and I've always had to think about how to power the boat when it's out in some island somewhere, and that just gives me this kind of background to always think about off-grid and all the power needs and all. This is something that I've done automatically for decades. So I'm just familiar with it. And now it's kind of nice to put it into my broadcast, into a thing that says, hey, let's put it into kind of a prepper use, even though I don't necessarily classify myself in the past as a prepper. I was just doing it because I enjoyed doing it. Your father was a ham. Why aren't you, chick? Love Texans that can get stuff done and stick. So I don't have to think about this as, oh, I'm prepping. I'm a doomsday is going to happen. No, it's just part of just normal household stuff of saying, get ready. Always be ready because it's normal. Things do happen. Things happen. I see the power truck flock in hurricane mode, but no 3 days off, no power. Well, there were more than 3 days of no power in Puerto Rico. So just letting you know. So I know some of you are thinking, I don't want to watch this guy. He's too much of a doomsday guy. I'm not. I actually am not. I'm not talking about this in a kind of a doomsday mode like Mitch 2019 thinks. I'm not in a kind of a doomsday kind of thinking. It's only fun to think about it and be ready. What would you invest in to survive in a mild catastrophe? I've already done that, Danome. I have. Let me just tell you some of the things that I have, and I need more. I don't have seeds. I don't have seeds. The only prepping I worried about in Australia was surviving bushfire front. Motto today, Boy Scouts, be prepared. Yes. Get a Prius, Rob, use it as a backup generator. You don't need that, Wee Fu Can. Your car is a generator. Yeah, you can power your batteries until you run out of gas. WA8KNJ. So Chick is also ready. I'm in zone 6. Zone 6. Chick, I guess you know that. I'm in zone 6. Wildfire to you. Yes. So I don't look at prepping as doomsday kind of attitude. It's just natural because I've already done it for years, and there are things that I don't have. Like I told you, I don't have seeds. I do have a completely isolated and completely independent bug out. I have a boat. The boat is in walking distance. The boat has battery power. I can attach the solar to it to charge the batteries, which I already have. It has water. It has, we can bring the food. It has some food in there, and it has complete, places to sleep for the entire family. And it's full of gas, and it's a sailboat, so it doesn't even need to use the gas. Oh, that's your dad's. You remember your dad's call sign? That's awesome. So I, in a way, that's like a bug out location as it is, because even if my house collapses in an earthquake, I have a place to sleep. No cover. My boat has cover. What are you talking about? It's a cruising boat. What about a golf cart? Uh, I spent $30, have seats for 30 people when harvesting. You are assuming power plants won't cause areas to be dangerous. Think Fukushima. Well, kelp, there's no more nuclear plants in California. They shut down the only one. So there are no nuclear plants here anymore, unless the existing one breaks up, which will hit Orange County. So need to learn how to grow vegetables before, not after. It's not always straightforward learning. Great news. What's the great news? So then I have that. So I have a boat. I have, I have food. I have water. I got water containers. And there's water on the boat too. There's probably a good, 40 gallons on the boat at any one time. So the boat is always full of water. It has running water. You can actually shower in there if you want. So what is the main power generation in California? It's mostly, fossil fuel. And then they're supplementing that with other things. But mostly it's fossil fuel generation. Your boat and one nuke plant. So, yeah, most of California is fossil fuel, and that's why it's very expensive here. Won't boats be stolen pretty fast? No, Maui. A sailboat requires some skill. How do you steal a sailboat? May I ask? I mean, a sailboat requires some sailing skill. And you got to put up the sails. There's things to do. You got to know how to sail, or you're going to just hit things. It doesn't move just, You put the sails up and you say, well, what do I do now? So, no, they will steal the powerboats. I don't think they'll steal there's 10,000 boats over here. Homeless are moving into boats now. How do they get into the boats? Do they go use a inflatable? So it's not easy to get into the boat. Aren't pirates sailors? No, most pirates are motorboaters. Somebody like you would steal it. I don't need to steal because I already have one. So, and there are 10,000 of them to steal. So it's not like, there's a lot of boats out there. So you can steal a lot of them. So no, I'm not particularly worried about my boat getting stolen, but because mine is in a protected area, there's somebody guarding it. If it's just in some old dock, somebody could steal. But in my case, somebody is guarding the area. In such a scenario, the first thing would be to lay low and wait for chaos to calm down. Kelp is actually true. That's actually true. That's why you want to be self-sustaining and have food and water and power with your, with this in reserve, so that you don't have to go out there. Because every time you walk out of your house, it's actually a danger. So if you have a ham radio, you can check out with other people and see what's happening out there. You yourself don't have to walk out. And if you have power to charge your ham radios, you're actually good. In the book, one second after, no one had a ham radio. Well, that's impossible. That's not realistic. That's a scenario that, to me, is not real. In a real emergency, ham radios are not going to break with an EMP. I like the judge for the... What? I like the judge for a pistol. What does that mean? Taco Bell Hotel opens in August. What does that mean, we can? Will the air above be any safer? As far as what? Flying? If there's an EMP, the airplanes are not going to fly. If there's an EMP, airplanes are not going to fly. If you're up in the air, you'll crash. So EMP, first thing to hit will be airplanes. Boats will run. Boats don't have electronics necessary. They can run without electronics. So I've never known one ham operator. Maui, you know me, I'm a ham operator. Judge is a model pistol? What kind of pistol is that? I'm not familiar with a model called Judge. Just what I said, Taco Bell Hotel.
Seriously? That's the actual name? I thought you were. I thought it was a kind of a joke that was referring to something else. Drone attack? Would would a hot air balloon be good for bugging out? uh, bugging out to where? Where are you gonna take the balloon? Somebody will shoot at you. I can tell you who's got ham around me by spotting big antennas. They open them and they're book solid. The judge is a 410 shotgun in a pistol. Wow. I've not been keeping up with these weapons. Somebody asked me what kind of guns to have in an emergency, and probably for a beginner who doesn't know anything about guns, Maui. For a beginner who doesn't know anything about guns, I'm going to say shotgun. If you don't know much about guns, I'd say a shotgun. Now, why is that? Because the shotgun has a very short range. So, somebody coming at you, it works for short distances. And why a shotgun versus a rifle? Because if you have an AR-15, your bullet is going to travel to your neighbor's house and maybe kill somebody far away because you don't know how to handle it. So yeah, but somebody's in front of you, shoot, and it can kick like a mule. Get a 20 gauge then. Get the bullets that shoot pellets. It's short-hand range too. Bullets that shoot pellets. So anyway, if a big shotgun is something you can't handle, get like a 12 gauge, then get a 20 gauge, which is a little less kick, and so you don't worry about hitting neighbors and people that you shouldn't be hitting, because it's a short kind of aim. Now, many people say that if you need to practice shooting, if you don't know anything about guns, use a revolver. And I don't know, if you actually fired a revolver, it requires so much strength to fire a revolver straight. It's pretty hard to aim when you're like pressing on that trigger and there's so much pressure required, because it's double action. So it's like, and many times when you pull on the trigger, you actually point it elsewhere. So the natural reaction is, as you point it, you actually lose aim. So I don't like that. I like, I like you can aim a rifle better, but the problem with a rifle, it's too powerful. So the best thing to do is start with a shotgun and then get yourself a pistol and actually learn how to use a pistol. So pistols are very easy to aim because they're very light, like something like this. This has very light single action here. It doesn't take a lot of pressure to fire. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. 12 gauge with an 18-inch shorter barrel. And number 4 buck is good for normal home defense. Yes, that's good. That's good. A specific one. Guns aren't effective against zombies. Baseball bats for zombies. How about cap guns for beginners? Snake shot bullets. Look them up. Okay, Wifukan, snake shot bullets. You know that in Wifukan, in Canada, they're not allowed to have guns. So a lot of them have pellets. And I don't know what you can actually stop, because in Canada they use pellets. So if you don't have time to learn how to use a gun, then start with a shotgun and then work yourself to actually. I have a revolver. It's good for me, but not for everyone. That's a problem. You have a 357 Magnum, and that thing has a big kick, and then it requires so much finger pressure. How about tiny pistol, carry and holster, easy, hard to aim. Any short barrel is not truly aimable. That's why I don't like short barrels. I mean, they're really good for like really close up use, but if you're aiming something that's a little bit further away, it's pretty hard to aim it. So might as well just get a shotgun, and then it's spread out so you have a larger chance of hitting, and then get a rifle for long distance. We also have a 357 with birdshot in first couple barrels for snakes. Somebody actually has does that for home use, so that the first shot is a warning. And if they still do it, then they still come at you, then you do the real one. You're in Canada. Oh, Dan, I didn't know you were Dan, I didn't know you were in Canada. I thought you're not allowed to have guns in Canada. I just tell looters where the mother-in-law better. Most guns being brandished deter further aggression. Yes, but the bigger the gun, the more deterred. So if you come out with a tactical AR-15, very tactical looking, yeah, that's intimidating. Salt pellets warning. Salt pellets. I'm gonna check out this Sailor laser sight is persuasive. I don't use laser sights. I just have red dot, and you're not gonna see the red dot. I'll see the red dot. What kind is my toy? I have many toys. I have many toys. Like, airsoft. I got airsoft toys. Just fire pellets. Just fire the pellets that Weefugan's talking about. You get hit by one of these pellets, you're going to get mad and attack me. You're just going to go attack me. So, even a 22 rifle or a 22 pistol. What is a 22 really going to do? Is it going to stop somebody? I think you could survive a 22. It'll hurt, but you're likely to survive a 22 shot. So, is it true that 5.56 is basically an assault rifle that looks like it's for hunting? Mad Cow, you've been watching like 60 Minutes or something? Are you watching 60 Minutes? So the difference between a assault rifle and a non-assault rifle is that a assault rifle looks tactical. Otherwise, they're all the same. You need something loud. AR-15 is pretty loud, Weefugan. Not in the head. Those 22s bounce all over inside you. You sure about that? Can you aim for somebody's head instead of the body? It's pretty hard. Get a Bushman. Isn't that like a deer rifle? Sup, Sam? Is that like a deer rifle? Like 50 cal? How big is the ammo for that? 40 caliber? 22 tumbles in a body, you may survive, but only if you get trauma hospital right away. Depends on where it hits, Eagle Source. 22 doesn't tumble much. It doesn't have that much power. No make many models. People forget that the Second Amendment was for the right to hunt deer. 60 Minutes is anti-gun. Shouldn't it be obvious, Simon? Isn't that obvious? Anybody anti-gun here? Don't watch me if you're anti-gun. 22 is often affected by clothing. Yes, you can actually block. If you can see some tests, if you wear like thick clothing, the 22 will not necessarily cause much damage. But a 5.56 will. 5.56 is very, very powerful because the tiny 22 bullet is being fed by. I have one here. Where's my 5.56? Here. Look at this 5.56. Yeah, the bullet's pretty small. Look at the bullet. It's so tiny. The bullet itself is a 22. Okay? But the cartridge is huge. So this little tiny bullet in here is powered by this huge cartridge. So there's a lot of power to it. So the reason that a 5.56, which is a typical bullet for AR-15, the reason it's considered very, very deadly is because the bullet starts to spin. No, Dick DCK88. If you're wearing thick clothing, it's not. It may not do much. Load your own. You can alter your loads. Yeah. So yeah, 22 isn't. This is a 22. 223. That's a 22. But look at the size of the cartridge. There's just a lot more power. Have you seen the powder of a 22 caliber? 22 LR? I mean, it's really tiny. There's not a lot of power in it. There's not a lot of power in that. So if you think you're going to survive with a 22, I don't think so. I mean, if you fire 22, sounds like a pop gun. Sounds like a little toy when you fire 22 and you fire one of these and this thing is gonna like make you deaf. This thing is like powerful. I mean, this thing explodes. Yes, that's true, Kelp. I've tested. This is not your stronger than 40, and my 22 went through it. Well, in the right conditions, I guess. But they actually tested 22s that, like, you can stop it with a book. If you're gonna put a piece of wood that's like pine, yeah, it's gonna go through that. But you can stop a 22 with a book. I like my shotgun loud as hell. There's a guy on the corner that sells hot guns, and he'll even buy them back when you're finished with them. You're in California, that's illegal. M1A in 308, 9mm pistols, Remington shirt barrel, not shotguns, are all available in Canada. Really, I didn't think. I guess pistols are not available in Canada, right? Did you say you have 9mm pistols are available in Canada? Okay. I thought Canada was so anti-gun that they don't have any. But I guess if you have to be, how do you kill the bears, right? How do you protect yourself from bears if you don't have any weapons? Do the test for yourself. Don't believe everything you read. I don't know. DCK, I do have a 22, and I may have a 22. I may have a 22 rifle. You shoot every weekend. I may have a 22 rifle, and it just I only shoot targets though. 22 is good for passing tests. I only shoot targets. I've actually tried. I unfortunately I can't just go. I'm in a city. I'm in a city, DCK 88. So it's not like I can go to my backyard and shoot something. I can't do that. So I got to go to a range, and in the range I can only shoot targets. So I'm not able to. I don't have the capacity to bring my own targets. So it's just not where I am here. Zuck. Russian special forces use 22 LR for sniping. That's correct. Even the Israelis use it for sniping. Yes. Yes. We have a lot of desert. How far in the ocean would you have to go to shoot? Thank you, Twitty. I think, your international waters at 4 miles. But I don't know if I'd shoot even at 4 miles. Quitter. Quieter or quitter? 4 miles you're international waters. I don't know if I'd shoot there. I live in the desert. You do, yes. You can have BM, what is it? BM lands, what is it? BML? You live near where Weefu Can is. He's in Palm Springs. So yeah, he can go to to the BLM lands. There you go. BLM. Do you need a passport to sail into international waters? Simon, probably yes. No, I mean not to sail, but to arrive at any other country. Like if you go to Mexico, you need a passport. Yes. What did I miss here? So, yeah. So this is that's a 22, but it's the right kind of 22. So just my personal feeling, you know, of using a 22. I I don't expect much from it, and it jams constantly too. You fire something like this, and it doesn't jam, or pistol doesn't jam. You fire a 22, and it's like constantly jamming. Hold a 50 cal next to that 22. Yeah, but this is a big 22. This is a big 22. Sup Sam, that's a big 22. So this is not the 22 LR. CCI Stingers are coming out at 1640. What is the size? What is the caliber of a CCI Stinger? What caliber is that? What won the West? 22? What? 45? What won the West? 50 cal can break your wrist if not shot right. 22 won the West. Here's 50 cal and big 50. 50 won the West? Really? I would have thought 45. I didn't think they made 50 in the West. I would have thought 45. Oh, 22 is a CCI Stinger. Is that like a bigger cartridge? Is the back end of it bigger? I gotta look at what it looks like. Because this is a 22 as well. Okay? That's a 22. Okay? Come on, guys. That's a 22. Would you like to have that kind of 22? Same as LR? Really? Horses killed more cowboys than guns. It depends on what West. Oh my gosh, you guys are funny. It's funny. So that's just a little. Look at how tiny the bullet is. It's really tiny. That's the 22. A little thing in there. Not much. I'm gonna have to check that out. DCK, CCI Stinger. Can you load that on a? Standard rimfire 22 weapon, or you need something else? It's a 22 diameter bullet, but not a 22 cartridge. Trying to pump up the 22 LRs an effective self-defense round is laughable. There you go. Chief should know. He's a chief. 22 but not a 22 cartridge. Yes. This is a 22 diameter bullet. And you can see the size of the cartridge. It's huge. Huge cartridge. That's why it's so loud. I'm talking about the unit you were holding. It's not a self-defense round, but it can do more damage than most think. But you can play all day in the desert for pennies playing with a 22 LR. 22 LRs are, used to be cheaper. They're not that cheap anymore. It's not a BB gun, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, you gotta take the same precautions with a 22 as you would with this kind of ammo. On a serious note, had cousin die on a 22 in the head, bounce around in the head. Yikes. Well, it depends on the angle, I suppose, I wouldn't know a pistol from a shotgun if I met one in a dark alley. I need guns 101 after Jazz Theory 101. 500 rounds of 22 for $20 at Walmart. I don't know what it costs here, but I know it costs a lot more than that. If the price of my Bitcoin has doubled, does that mean I can sell half that and have a principal protected investment? Yes, Mad Cow. That's correct. That's correct. I gotta do a scope about Libra, Facebook Libra, but I haven't researched it yet because I don't know what Zuck is up to. But having Zuck have the power of a cryptocurrency is just zucked up. I have plenty of 22 LR firearms and ammo, great for peasant target. That's it. There you go, Pamela. My Walmart has them for that price. Always been buying them for years. I don't know. California here, there's a lot of demand, so they tend to be more expensive here in California. So, but I don't need to. I got enough of them, so I have a ton of 22s. So I don't need to buy any more 22s. But I think if I haven't bought 22s in a while, but Bitcoin creator still alive? How do we know? We don't know. 44 was standard when I worked in the bush. Yes, I would imagine. Are you in the bush here in Alaska? Do you actually one of our Alaska followers here? One of our buddies from Alaska actually, shoots bears and things. Zuck coin, yes. So I got to research the Zuck coin. We may have to do a scope about that. Anyway, so watch my video. Watch my video, guys, on the solar panel. It's kind of a expensive thing to make a video for, because I had to buy the solar panel, and you hit a bear. I had to buy the solar panel and the battery, and it cost a lot of money just for a video. So hopefully it has some practical use for emergencies, but that's expensive to make a video. So that's what I have to do some of this. So watch that. Oh, what about your vehicle? I hope it's a big truck. So watch that video, and please follow me or subscribe to my channel on YouTube so that you see some of these other videos. And they're very practical advice tips. And I for those of you who are new to my broadcast, I talk about privacy. I talk about Zuckbook, the internet, communications for prepping, and basically, kind of a self-reliant attitude that doesn't go for government spying. 2004 Pacific, handled well. So anyway, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to be doing follow-up videos. And the most expensive deer killer I used was the Ford E350 I was driving. Deer killer, but not a bear. 44 for bear. No one wants to do that, but it happens. Yes, and you probably don't want to do the, drive your car into a bear. What did you say? Hold on. I missed your comment there, Hawaii Dealer. I watched that. It made me want that solar routine. Yeah, in fact, that's my advice. You can skip the battery for now. Just, if you have a solar panel, fold it up, store it away, and you're ready. Okay, that's all you need. Get the solar panel, stow it, and even that alone is a lot. That's a lot. Because you can always steal batteries from cars that are not running anymore. So there's always batteries in cars, but if you have a solar panel, you're actually self-generating electricity. So that's one. What is the best tip for tonight? Solar panels and seeds. And then if things collapse, take out the alternators from vehicles, and you have a charger, and take out the batteries. And suck out the gasoline from it. Get golf cart batteries. Or boat batteries, if we can. That's the same one. The golf cart batteries are the same as boat batteries. Do YouTube on these robots being used in grocery stores Are they just really for aisle spills? Thank you for the super heart. Somebody just gave some sort of super heart. Thank you for that. So anyway, we'll be back tomorrow, and then we'll see what topic we can rustle up that can stimulate your mind, folks. We need to stimulate your mind with some of these ideas, and it's not all about panic. It's just stimulating your mind, coming up with things to think about. Things to think about. So read that book 1 second after. 1 second after. I'm going to put a link to the video so you remember the name of the book. 1 second after, and then I'll put a link to the seeds too. Okay? Good night, my friends. See you tomorrow.